Very good evening to one and all. Myself, Professor Dr. Sanjeev Pal, Director of Amity University, Amity School of Hospitality, Rajasthan, and serving as the Vice Chairperson of ISTD Jaipur Chapter, takes the pleasure and honor of welcoming all the respected members of ISTD team and all the students and scholars, those who have attended and those who have taken their time from this busy Saturday evening schedule. Thank you so much for joining us. Now, today, during these circumstances of COVID-19 and when we all the leaders and the managers are going through a tough time since we are managing so many people, and there is always a question or always a proverb which all of us as a leader or a manager would have heard, that most of the time it so happens that our juniors actually they don't leave the organizations, they always leave the leaders or they leave the managers. Now many a times this is something which really creates a lot of queries in the mind of people who are becoming managers for tomorrow, and also they look forward to the stalwarts or already the leaders in the organization, trying to find out that why is it so, and why we say that people don't leave the organization, people leave the managers. Maybe one of the reason which is probably unknown to most of us, that we all as a manager behave in a different way at different times. Like some of us may be too much analytical, we may be always looking for results. Some of us are pretty emotional. We don't like directly telling others. Some of us are very straightforward. We always look for the results, and the way we would do things, we always like others also do it in the same way. So many a times we as a leader or as a manager, we face this difficulty, and we are not able to understand that is there really some kind of leadership styles, or as a human being or as a person or as a manager, am I different from others, or is it that every one of us has got some different styles of working? But how do we understand that? That's the question. We all know that we all have a different style of working, but is there some theory which says that this is what is my character, or this is what is my leadership style, or this is the style in which I like to work? Because once I understand that, or every one of us understand that this is the person who works in this kind of a style, this is his communication way of communication, or this is his way of leadership style, maybe I feel that this so-called proverb which we have, that people don't live organization, they live managers, this can be really sorted out to a quite extent. So today, as you know, we all have started with a group from initiated by the ISTD Jaipur chapter, ISTD, all the members of the ISTD Jaipur chapter. It's you can say that birth child, or it's a birth from the ISTD Jaipur chapter. We have formed different committees, and under different committees, we have been assigned by the committee members to uh, shoulder certain kind of responsibilities. So myself as the vice chairman of ISTD Jaipur chapter, I was nominated to take care of these webinars, events and activities which we can do. And I think today is the second webinar we are doing it. And today this is the topic which we thought that we should be able to address this, and this should be a knowledge sharing platform for all of us. And that is how we have roped in one of our youngest members. He is also one of the member of our managing committee of ISTD Jaipur chapter, Mr. Gaurav Maheshwari. So before we go ahead with the proceedings and presentations to be given by Mr. Gaurav on this set topic, communication and leadership style, I would like to just make a formal introduction of Mr. Gaurav. Though you can see he is such a young man and he really does not need any introduction, because at present he is heading the learning department of Deutsche Bank. So you can understand the kind of profile he has got. But still, a small formal introduction. Mr. Gaurav is a talent development professional. He is having over 12 years of experience in companies like JP Morgan, Tata Consultancy, CarDeco.com, Harrison Technology in both India as well as overseas. He is a certified trainer for entrepreneurship skills, public speaking, and leadership development. He is serving as the area director of Toastmaster International, and presently he is heading the learning department of Deutsche Bank. So I would like to now hand over the proceedings to Gaurav. Please, we look forward to a wonderful knowledge sharing platform with you. And I'm sure this a question which is there in all of us mind, that how our style is different and how can we really understand what is our leadership style and enrich ourselves. Over to you, Gaurav. Thank you so much. Mr. Gaurav, please unmute yourself.
Thank you so much, Sanjeev ji, for such a warm welcome and such kind words. And a very warm welcome to every member present here. And it just warms my heart to see that you decided to make time for this learning opportunity. And it goes to show that you're serious about working on your own skill sets, and you're serious about continuously learning. And that is a great start. Um, I do not come here as a trainer today. I come here as a facilitator of learning. I don't come claiming that I know something that I can teach or train others here on, but there is a concept that I'm going to uncover in front of you. Some of you may have already read about it or learned a little bit about it, but we are just going to rediscover the whole concept. We don't think about it so often, and yet we use it every day, consciously or subconsciously. So as Sanjeev ji correctly said, as leaders, it is important for us to able to lead effectively, and either as leaders or as members of a team, you would have realized that sometimes it is just a breeze to work with some people, right? They just understand what you mean. You don't even have to finish your sentences with them. Some of them just seem to be thinking at the same wavelengths as you do, right? Sometimes it happens, and you enjoy working with such a team or with such a leader. And sometimes it appears that it becomes so difficult to talk to a particular leader, or sometimes they never seem to understand your point of view, or anything you say doesn't seem to be actually reaching their minds or hearts. So how does that happen, and why does that happen, and is there some sort of a science behind it? That's the topic that we are going to explore today. Okay, so there is it is going to be an interactive exercise that we will do today. I don't want to be talking the whole time, and I would like to hear your experiences also. And there is a activity that we will need to do, where you will do a self perception inventory, which will help you identify what is your social style or communication style. I have sent an Excel based document in the chat. You may want to download that and just keep it handy, and I'll tell you when to go there. If you don't have it, if you don't have a laptop in front of you, you can also open it on your mobile devices. MS Excel MS Excel readers are there on Android and Apple stores, and they can help you open this. And I've also pinged it in the ISTD 2021 WhatsApp group, right, that you're all part of. So maybe you may want to also download it from there. So any which way, just keep that file with you, and we'll get into that.
Sorry to disturb you, sir.
Yeah.
Sorry to interrupt, sir. But you have not sent any this
Okay. Maybe you
Excel
just
sheet.
yeah. Maybe you just join. Let me just resend the file. So you have it with you. I've just resent it. Okay.
Yes, sir, we've received it. We've
Okay.
received it on the
Okay.
group.
Great. Great. So we'll just get into the subject now. Uh, and I'm just beginning to share my screen. Just a moment. Okay, I hope you all can see my screen now.
Yes, we can.
Yes,
Okay.
it is visible.
Okay, so um, none of the leaders whose pictures I have on the first slide need any introduction, right? But all of them have a very different style of working, right? And I'm sure we don't know any of them personally, but we have seen enough of them through media and through their own appearances and their speeches and just the way they like to carry themselves or how they like to work. So, what comes to your mind if I say, how would you describe each of these leaders based on your own perceptions? What would you like to say? We can just go to the participants here. Anybody who would like to share what their perceptions of these leaders is without getting political, of course, just in terms of how they lead and how they like to operate. What is your perception? Any volunteers we would like to hear from them? If you're not speaking, request you to please mute your line. And can we have a volunteer?
You want to know about the leadership quality or
Yeah, anything. So when you think of, let's say, how would say Mr. Donald Trump be different from say Mr. Putin in terms of their leadership style, based on your own perception of it?
okay, but again you have put Obama there.
I also
Because
have
Putin-
Obama, I have Putin, I have Donald
yeah,
Trump, and I have Mr. Manmohan Singh.
yeah. See, as a means as a prime minister regarding Manmohan Singh, I won't say much, but as a finance minister, like he is really brilliant. So, and here we cannot justify his means like as a person how he is. I am not going to that context. But leadership, if you say, a bit of question mark there.
Okay.
That is my perception. And regarding among all the four, I believe Putin and Obama the best. That is my point of view.
Okay.
I don't know others can differ from me,
Okay.
and I'm not at all means convinced with the Trump style of leadership. I'm not at all convinced.
Okay. Sure. That's good. Can I have your name, please, sir?
My name is Raj.
Raj. Okay, Raj. So that's you made some very compelling observations and some very interesting points, and you said I think Putin and Obama are better leaders among the four, and trust me, there are billions of people who would disagree with you, right? So how does that happen? How does this happen that there are so many people out there who still support Obama while you don't? Or who still support Donald Trump or Manmohan Singh while you don't support them, as a leader. Now, and this is where the whole science of different leadership styles and our own perception of these leaders lies in. And I see some very interesting responses coming in the chat as well. Dr. Naipal Singh has said Obama seems to be a liberal leader. Putin, somebody who likes to control things, somebody who wants to remain in control. Manmohan Singh seems to be a very democratic and consensuous leader. Trump seems to be somebody who puts words in other people's mouths. Uh, so very interesting observations there. RG says Manmohan Singh is more of an academician than a leader.
Exactly.
Yeah. Okay. Great, Raj. Thank you so much. So, so this and this may be true to some extent, right? This may be true to some extent. Okay. Was there another response? Okay. All right. So our leadership, all of them have hundreds of thousands of supporters. Some of them even have millions of supporters out there who would tell you that their favorite leader is the better leader. And how does that happen? Right? That's very interesting, isn't it? That's very interesting. Okay. And the reason I chose their pictures is not just because they are popular leaders or powerful figures, but also because they are very distinct in their approach of leadership. And we'll discover as we go. Right, we'll discover as we go why Putin, and their observation is correct. Putin looks like somebody who wants to be in control. Obama looks like somebody who's liberal, and Donald Trump to me looks like somebody who is very expressive, who just says what he thinks sometimes, and he doesn't really, think carefully before he speaks. Right. So there are various, personality characteristics that are coming into play. But as we say, every individual is different, and no two individuals are same. They all are different in terms of their psychological built up, or their own style, or their personal experiences, or the learnings that they've acquired through their life experiences. Everybody is different, but there is still some sort of a pattern that we can identify, and that's what we are going to do today. Right. So during this session, one thing that will happen is that you will discover your own social style. Right. So you will discover your own social style. You will learn how your social style affects other people, and how your social style affects your interactions with others. And these others may be anybody that you interact with. These may be your family, these may be your friends, these may be your co-workers, your boss, your subordinates, just about anybody. Right. And then we will learn how to identify what are the social styles of those others around us. And then coming to the last part, which is about how we can be more versatile in terms of working effectively with other people. Right. So of course you can't change others, right? You can't change how others behave, but you can of course flex your own style, or make your own style a little bit more versatile, so that you can work effectively with other people. Right. So that's the objective for today. So in the early 1960s, there was a lot of research happening about explaining or understanding why you know different people or different leaders behave the way they do, right? Or how they may behave differently from each other. And a lot of researchers contributed to this line of work, and a lot of psychologists, industrial psychologists worked on this concept. And they of course gave it different names, but there are two common phenomenons, or two dimensions that everybody identified, that they called everybody uh, can be either highly assertive or less assertive, or can be highly responsive or less responsive. So they thought of two different dimensions of interpersonal actions. So assertiveness is about the way in which we are perceived as we are trying to influence the thoughts and actions of others. So some leaders, as you would know, are highly assertive, right? They have their way. They are very confident, and they are assertive. On the other hand, some leaders are less assertive, or at least they exert less assertiveness, or at least that's how it seems on the surface. On the other hand, some leaders are highly responsive, and you would see them very warm and open, right? And very easy to talk to. And on the other hand, some leaders are less responsive, right? And when we think of these dimensions, we can also call them continuums. So there are uh, two sides of this assertiveness continuum. You can either be high on assertiveness, or you can be low on assertiveness. Everybody is assertive to some degree. Either we can just be high or low, which translates into our external behavior, which is, for example, when we are highly assertive, we tend to tell more often than we ask. So you would see, just visualize any leader that you worked with. You would see sometimes some leaders have this style that they would just tell everybody what to do. They may be wrong sometimes, but that's okay. With experience, they are right more often. But it is their style. They don't believe in asking a lot, and they believe in telling. And on the other hand, you have sometimes leaders who would ask you questions about, why do you think this is happening? What is the root cause? What are your thoughts? What are your suggestions? And this is their style, right? So either you can be ask assertive or tell assertive based on what your innate natural style is. That neither of these styles is better than the other, right? Because there are pros and cons for both. And people will tell you that one of them is better than the others because that's how they like to operate. But both these styles have their own advantages and disadvantages. So this assertiveness continuum is based on the work of David W. Merrill and Roger Reed. Both of them were industrial psychologists in the US in 1960s, and they worked on this concept extensively, and they also published it in their book called Personal Styles and Effectiveness Performance. It is out there. If you want to today, if you know this subject interests you, you may want to go and read the book, and that will give you even more insight. Very interesting concept, right? Okay, when people are assertive, or that means when they are either high assertive or low assertive, they become ask directed. If they are low assertive, they become tell directed. If they are high assertive,
Sir,
request you to mute your line
sir,
if
yeah,
you're not.
sir, I'll just disturb you one bit. Sir, can we go to the first slide, sir? First slide. Okay. Okay. Okay, fine, sir. Okay, sir, we can go ahead. Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Previous slide.
Yeah. Okay. So when individuals are low on assertiveness, they become ask oriented or ask directed, and it starts to show in their style, right? So when the people are ask directed or they are low assertive, and which is not a bad thing, right? So don't think of low as a bad thing here. It is just the style. So when individuals or leaders are ask directed, which means low assertive, they speak deliberately and they often pause, right? Think Atal Bihari Vajpayee. They seldom interrupt others. They seldom use voices for emphasis. They sometimes make many conditional statements, and they tend to lean back. What it means is they are not pushy. They don't speak very strongly about a subject. On the other hand, the tell assertives, they speak quickly and firmly because they are sure about what they are saying in their minds. They interrupt others if they have to. Okay, think Donald Trump. Okay, they often use voices for emphasis. They make declarative statements. So they just announce statements such as Donald Trump, how he says that I think I'm very good at mediating issues between India and Pakistan. I think I'll be a very good mediator. Something of this sort he said very recently. I don't know if you saw that in the news, but it was a very strong statement to make to my taste, right? And they in the physical appearance they tend to lean forward as they talk. The other continuum is the responsiveness continuum that that David Merrill and Roger Reed proposed. This responsiveness continuum is about how you respond to others, how warmly you respond to others. So if you are less responsive as a leader, you become more task oriented. And if you are highly responsive as a leader, you become more people oriented. And again, I would like to emphasize that neither of these are better than the other, right? There is nothing bad about being task oriented. Also, there is nothing bad about being people oriented. It is just how our social styles are constructed. And it is a result of how we like to think, how we like to operate, and years of conditioning, and nothing that nothing that either puts us as a disadvantage or gives us some sort of edge over others, right? In different situations it works differently. Okay, so when people are low responsive, that means when they are task directed, they talk more about tasks and facts. And on the other hand, when they are people directed, they talk more about people and relationships in their conversations. People who are task directed, they use minimal body gestures and minimal body language. And people who are people directed, they use broad and expansive body gestures. Uh, those of us who are task directed, they show a narrow range of personal feelings to others. On the contrary, those of us who are people directed, they show a broad range of personal feeling to others. And I'm sure as you're thinking about it, different leaders, either in the public space or private space, their faces must be flashing in your minds about who talks like this, or who displays a body language like this. So I want you to continually think about that, because that is only going to strengthen your understanding of the concept, right? Okay, so we'll stop here, and I'll take you to the document that I had sent you. I know some of you have just joined, so I will just send the file just one more time. Okay, I've just sent a file. It's an Excel-based document. I want you to please download this and open it. We'll do this exercise together, because this is going to now make the ground for the rest of the session. Okay. Does everybody have it open? Please just respond in the chat box if you have it open, and then we'll continue. Okay, one colleague has just joined, so I'm just sending this file one more time. It's the same file I'm sending repeatedly because people are still joining. So okay, so I see Shweta has downloaded it. Dr. Sushil Kumar has also downloaded it. I would like everybody to please open this, because it will be a very interesting activity. If you do it for yourself, you'll be able to diagnose or basically identify what is your own preferred social style, and that will help you understand the dynamics of how this works in your own personal and professional lives, and how you can use it to your advantage. Okay, looks like everybody has it open. I'm also displaying this on my screen, so let me just talk through what is it that you need to that you need to do here. Okay, so you have two tabs here. I want you to go to the questionnaire tab. I think that's the one open by default. And if editing is not allowed, I want you to allow editing in this document. So it is actually a self-perception questionnaire for your own social styles. It is a tool to identify what is it what is your social style, and it is based on the work of David Merrill and Peter Reid. And I've created this tool because it is easy to calculate, and you don't have to work to do a lot of calculations which is there in their original questionnaire, but it is based on that. So it is all their work and not mine. But I've just put it in this format so it is easy for you to use. So what you have here is 30 pairs of statements. Okay, row number 5 is the first pair, right? So you have 30 pairs of statements, and listen to the instructions very carefully, because if you make a mistake there, your results may be skewed. Okay, so you have 30 pairs of 2 statements each. I want you to read one pair at a time and choose any one statement from that pair that best describes you. Okay, so for example, in the first pair, the 2 statements are, I tend to tell people what is on my mind, and the other statement is, I tend to keep things to myself. Now these are 2 opposite behaviors. If you notice, these are 2 opposite behaviors. They are not same, or they are not similar. So where you can choose either one of them. Let's say I choose the first statement that says, I tend to tell people what is on my mind. So how do I choose this statement? I put let a single character 1, single digit 1 in that empty box. So there are 2 boxes in front of every statement. One box has an X or a cross mark. You can't edit it. So, and the other box is empty. So I want you to put letter 1 in the statement, in the empty box that you choose. For example, in the first one I chose 1. In the second pair, I see myself as cool and guarded with others. I see myself as warm and friendly with others. I think I would like to choose the second one because I think that better describes me. So I will put letter 1 in the empty cell before the second statement. Okay, so that you need to do for all the 30 statements. All questions are mandatory, all pairs are mandatory for you to do. And when you have finished doing it, the sheet will automatically calculate your own results that you'll be able to see in the output tab. So I want you to take 5 minutes, read through these statements. Don't overanalyze these statements, or don't give an answer that you would like to, uh, how you would like to be. Okay, choose the statement how you are, that describes how you are, not how you would like to be. Right, so that's the exercise that you need to do. It is only for your eyes, and I will not get to see your results. This is for your own evaluation, and you can just keep it, save it with you, and you can use it in the future. So let us get started. And before you get started, I think everybody has already started it. But if you have any questions, anybody who needs more clarity in the in the instructions, please ask now.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So we'll whatever the answer will be, so we'll be putting 1 in that answer,
Yes,
right?
just
In that box,
letter 1. Yeah.
letter 1. Okay, fine. Sir, I am not able to get that Excel sheet, sir. Actually, where you have given, I don't know
The chat.
where it is.
Chat. Do you see the chat?
Yeah, sir. I am seeing the chat. See, I have seen the chat. Okay, sir. So here all the things are there, but I am not getting that. Yeah. So can it be given in the WhatsApp, sir? If the
I
other
have put it in
person,
the WhatsApp group also. Are you part of the
yes, Jaipur chapter.
Jaipur chapter?
Yeah, 83 batch Jaipur chapter.
It says ISTD Jaipur 2021, ISTD Diploma Jaipur. These are the two.
Sir, this is DIP 83.
Okay, I'm
DIP 83.
not on that group. I'm sorry. So can
Okay,
you
sir.
forward it to them? Any other colleague who is in the
I don't know, sir, who are all there. Whether he can do that.
let me just see. Let me just try to share it one more time here.
Mm. I have joined from the beginning, sir, actually. So many times he has shared, sir, but I don't know why I'm not getting. Sir, that Sanjeev is there, sir. Sanjeev can do that, I feel.
I've just sent it one more time. Can you see this?
Yeah, I'll just check, sir. No, sir, it has not come actually. I don't know whether it is my problem or the problem is with the other people
By
also. I
what
don't
link
know.
have you logged in?
Sir, I have logged in from this that link, sir.
But what's the display name?
My name is Rajkumar, sir. Rajkumar Nandi.
Mr. Rajkumar, are you checking the Zoom group chat? If you see in the Zoom group chat,
No,
Mr.
I'm not,
Gaurav has shared it. You just see the Zoom group chat.
okay, Zoom group chat, where it is, sir? I'm not getting.
If you go down, see, you will have a mute button, you will have a start video button, and then there is a chat. There is a chat, a symbol of chat. If you
Yeah,
just click
symbol
on,
of chat I have seen.
If you click on that, you will see he has shared 3 times.
Sanjeev sir,
Okay,
I've also shared it on our WhatsApp group. Sir,
okay,
with this
okay. I'll just see in the WhatsApp group.
Yeah, you can.
check
Okay.
it. Recently only I've sent it ISTD Jaipur 2021.
But I think 83 batch. It should be in 83 batch, na? I am from 83 batch actually. Sorry,
Aren't you
I'm
on this
disturbing
group, sir?
everyone. Huh?
No, that's okay. Sir, aren't you on this group ISTD Jaipur 2021 WhatsApp group?
No. This is they have created one batch, no? Diploma DIP 83 batch JPR chapter.
Okay, Raj, we are sending
So-
in 2 minutes in that group. Just wait for a minute, Raj, please.
Yeah. Sir.
It's there in that group, Raj.
Okay, sir.
Please confirm. Yeah.
Yeah, just a minute. Sir. Yeah. I think I got, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, now I got, sir.
Sanjeev, sir, these are diploma students, sir, so that group there now.
Thank you very much, Sanjeev.
Okay. So I see that Dipaliji has finished it. Saurabh Avasthi ji has also finished it. Okay. All right. So those of you who have finished it, if you have answered all the questions, please go to the output tab. And you would see a result there. In the column E, you would see in large font, there'll be a word written. Can you ping in the chat what that word is for you if you feel comfortable doing that? Okay, Shweta says expressive. Okay. Others, would you like to share what it is for you? Okay. All right. So when you have finished doing the activity, okay.
ये पिक्चर देखे हम मिक्सर खत्म हो गया क्या? दे दो पैकेट दे दो ज्यादा है क्या? तो बाउल ले
Okay.
लेके दे दो मुझे.
Please mute your line if you're not using. Yeah, mute your line, please, if you're not speaking. Thank you. All right. So I see that some of you have finished doing the exercise, and you would have gotten a particular result for you, right? So now we will discuss, what these results mean for you and how you need to use this information going forward. Okay. Okay, I see Dipali ji have mentioned amiable, and I am not surprised, Dipali ji, and I'll tell you why based on my interactions with you so far. Okay. Okay. All right, so we'll proceed due to paucity of time, and please keep sending the results as you are able to receive those. Okay, so we talked about two continuums of behaviors. So we talked about the assertiveness continuum and we talked about the responsiveness continuum. And when we put these continuums diagonally perpendicular to each other, we get what we call the social styles grid. Okay, so you would have got, when you did this exercise, you would have got one of the results that said either analytical or drivers or expressive or amiable. I know for Shweta it is expressive, for Dipaliji it is amiable, and I'm sure others are also getting the results as we talk about this. Okay, okay, for Mukesh it is driver, and I'm not surprised. uh, I'm not surprised. Okay, all right, so what do we mean by these results? So now let's look at both of these continuums in conjunction with each other. So on the x-axis we have the assertiveness continuum. On the left side we have low assertiveness, that means ask directed, and on the right hand side we have high assertiveness or tell directed. And on the y-axis we have uh, task directed, which means low assertiveness on top, and we have people directed, which is high assertiveness, high expressiveness, which is towards the bottom. And when these two continuums intersect with each other, they make those little four rooms that we call the social styles. So those of us who are high on assertiveness and low on responsiveness tend to act as drivers, then that becomes our social style. And drivers, the social style can be described by four characteristics. That control is important for them, because they manage things, so they also need to be in control. Being logical is important to them. They are result oriented, results are important to them, and they are quick decision makers. Drivers are all about these characteristics. When we think of high assertiveness, which is tell directed, and high expressiveness, we get expressive as the social style, which is here. And the expressive can be described by these characteristics. They are about popularity. They are popular and they like to remain popular. They talk about big picture. They like to hear about the big picture. They don't enjoy getting into the small details and the finer details, because that is boring, right? They have low attention span, and it is not a bad thing. It may sound like a bad thing, but it is not a bad thing. Their minds are so fertile that they are quickly jumping from one topic to another. They are also quick decision makers like drivers, and they go by gut feelings. So they are somebody who will enjoy, working based on how they feel versus the facts, right? So that is a characteristic of the expressive style. And if we go on the left side, which is on the low assertiveness side, you get amiable, which is ask assertiveness or ask directed, and uh, and high expressiveness, which means they are highly people oriented. So those of us um, who like to ask rather than tell, or and are also people oriented, identify as amiable social style. What it means is, um, uh, they are nice people that everybody enjoys interacting with. They don't like to rub people on the wrong side. Sometimes they may feel a little insecure with changes mostly, but they are very dependable people. Those of us who are amiable, they are dependable. If you give them something, and you can just be sure that it will be done, and they take responsibility, and they're highly ethical people. They are people of their word, right? So they keep their commitments. They avoid confrontation, right? They don't like confrontation or heated arguments. Sometimes they may be slow decision makers, because they don't want to upset anybody. Sometimes they have to think of all the stakeholders, and sometimes it may take them a little longer to make a decision, because they are amiable and they are caring. They are the most caring people that you will come across. They will be with you, by your side, in times of crisis. So these are your people directed and ask directed individuals, who like to ask and who are people oriented. And the last but not the least is the analytical style. analytical style is a combination of low assertiveness, which is ask directed, and high um and also low responsiveness, right? So low assertiveness and low responsiveness makes what we call the analytical style, and they are all about accuracy, right? Accuracy is everything, and they are very, very particular about it. They don't like mistakes. They are very logical and they are data driven. They are all about making standard operating procedures, and they like to write things down and then go by the book, right? And this is their style, right? So now, and I'm getting pings in the chat. I'm getting pings in the chat. All right. I also saw some drivers. Uh, okay. Um, Now let's talk about what it means for you, right? So I'm sure now you're able to relate with this a little bit, that, okay, this sounds like this describes me or how I like to operate. So now, once you've identified your styles, let's move on to the next thing. Think about the analytical style holders, because I saw just one analytical response. I want you to think about people who you around you who this description applies to. So just you know, think about those people around you. You may not be an analytical um, uh, person or somebody who identifies with the analytical style, but think about who maybe this describes. So people who are detail oriented, deliberate, well organized, people who listen and study information carefully before weighing all alternatives. They let other take the social initiative. They take a back seat in terms of social appearances. They prefer an efficient and business-like approach. They prefer information presented in systematic manner. They are very conservative and they are practical in their business decisions. They rely on structural approach and factual evidence, and they are reserved in their approach. They use few gestures, they have a proper speech, they have a formal posture and appearance, and they have a deliberate rate of speech. Does this ring a bell? Does that describe somebody around you? I want you to write their name down somewhere on a piece of paper, because that is your analytical style. And then, you know, in the last part, in just a few minutes, we will talk about how to work effectively with those who have this style. Okay, coming to the drivers, if you are a driver, you will enjoy reading this. But if you are not a driver, I want you to think about who this description applies to. So the drivers are forceful and result oriented. They are controlled. They have clear objectives in their minds. They focus on results rather than relationships, and they have a high sense of urgency. They are about action. Do it now, do it yesterday, right? They are knowledgeable and forceful in their business decisions. They like to make decisions and stick to them. They are goal oriented. They rely on information that supports the results. They don't go by gut often. They act quickly and confront issues directly. They are not somebody to avoid confrontation or fear confrontations, let me say that. They act quickly, and they confront the issues directly. They expect people to listen carefully and respond in a timely manner. It really annoys them if people don't respond timely. They're very serious in their objectives. They have a formal posture. They have restrained gestures, and they have rapid speech. They are direct. Their voice inflection varies very little, usually only to emphasize important points. So I want you to think about who this description applies to in your life or around you in your professional circle, and write down their name on a piece of paper. Okay, coming to the next. Amiable. Okay, so we know we have many amiables here in this group today. Amiables are warm, they are cooperative, they are attentive. They generally gather information and process it with others before making a decision. So they like to bring everybody together when they make a decision. They want to establish strong and trusting relationships, and they are about long-term relationships. They are not about transactions, they are about relationships. They want decisions to be supported by others. When they make a decision, they want others to approve of it, and truly be on board with it. They are careful, but they are cooperative. They are people oriented. They rely on others. They prefer interactive problem solving. They are friendly and open, and they have a relaxed posture. They have slow speech. They are pleasant, and they have a soft voice. They are open, and they have eager facial expressions. I want you to think about who this description applies to in your own circles, and I want you to write that down. Okay. All right. So if you are a driver, you can, there are both, as I said, good sides and bad sides to every style. So if you are a driver, you may be perceived both positively and negatively. So if you're a driver, you can be seen as a decisive person, somebody who's independent, somebody who's practical, who is determined, efficient, assertive, risk taker, and problem solver, and very direct in their approach. On the other side, the negative perceptions that usually get come with this style is that people may think you're pushy, or you run a one-man show or a one-woman show, or you're very tough, demanding. Sometimes you may come across as an agitator, or somebody who cuts corners to reach the goal, or sometimes be insensitive to others. And that is just a perception. And I don't mean that it is true. I don't mean that it is accurate. I just mean that others may think this is how you act when they look at you. When you are an expressive individual, positively you may be perceived as somebody who's verbal, inspiring, ambitious, enthusiastic, energetic, confident, friendly, and influential. And on the other side, you may be seen as somebody who talks a lot, somebody who's overly dramatic, somebody who is impulsive, doesn't think about making a decision much, somebody who is undisciplined, excitable, egotistical even. Flaky means somebody who is not, who may flip on any side and act in an unpredictable manner, and sometimes even manipulating. And these are, again, as I said, perceptions. So I want you to not worry about these words. These are very strong words, but I want you to think about how you may want to manage these perceptions as you work with others. When you're an amiable person, you may be perceived as somebody who's very patient, very respectful to others, somebody who's willing to take responsibility, somebody who's agreeable, everybody likes you, you're dependable, you're concerned about others, and truly concerned, not just, you don't pretend this, you're truly concerned about others, and you're relaxed, you're organized and empathetic to others. On the other hand, even good people have some enemies, right? So you may be perceived as somebody who's hesitant to move fast, somebody who's wishy-washy, that means they are not able to make a firm decision, somebody who's pliant, that means they're easy to bend, uh, and they're not very assertive. They may be conforming to the group, even if they don't like a particular idea. If everybody else in the group agrees with it, they may tend to conform to the group even if they don't like it. They may agree, they may give their approval even if they don't like it. They are dependent sometimes on others, they may be unsure of how to move ahead, and sometimes they may be seen as laid back because they take time to make decisions, right? So this is again a negative perception that may come with being a amiable. And in the end, the analytical may be perceived positively as somebody who's industrious, persistent, serious, orderly, organized, and cautious. On the other hand, people may think of them as somebody very critical, somebody who nitpicks on small things, somebody who's very picky, very moralistic, stuffy, stubborn, and sometimes even indecisive, right? So those are the things that may come with being an analytical style holder. And what happens, I know I'm on top of the hour, but allow me 5 more minutes, please. So what happens when these styles are put under stress? Okay, so normally we, for example, I may normally be an expressive person or an amiable person, uh, but what happens when I'm put under stress, or when I am agitated, or when I'm feeling threatened? How do I act? So that is our backup mode or backup style. So those of us who are analytical may act as if they are avoiding confrontation, right? So they may avoid getting into a subject if they are feeling threatened. Those of us who are driver, they may, when they are being threatened, they may be autocratic, they may become autocratic, or at least they may appear like that. Those of us who are expressive, they may act as somebody who's attacking others, and amiables may be mute your lines, please mute your lines. Please mute your lines. Thank you. Okay, now the last concept, and pay attention to this. How do we work better with other styles? So now that you have identified your own style, how do you work better with other people, right? And the key is versatility. Versatility means that how I can flex my own style to match that of others. So let's say, um, and I'll tell you a very interesting thing. If you are an expressive, you will have a very difficult time working with somebody who's analytical, because you're diagonally opposite to each other. And that is the case with analytical also. So if you're an analytical person, you would have a very difficult time working with an expressive individual, because you're diagonally opposite to each other. When you are an amiable person, you would have difficulty working with a driver, because you don't like how they act or how they push, right? And when you are a driver, you may have difficulty working with amiables because they don't seem to move, right? Because you're diagonally opposite to each other. But those styles that are not diagonally opposite to you, you can sometimes flex easily to work with them. For example, if you're an expressive, you can also work well with direct drivers. You can also work well with amiables. If you're an amiable, you can work well with expressives, and you can also work well with analyticals. If you're an analytical, you can work well with amiables and also with drivers. And drivers can work well with analyticals and expressives alike. But if you are not you know, actually diagonally opposite, then it is easy. But if you are diagonally opposite, how do you work effectively with them? So when you're working with drivers, okay, and members of the management committee, listen up, because we are a group of people, and we need to work effectively with each other. So we need to identify what are other people's styles and how we should work with them. So if you're working with a driver, you tell what it is first. You maintain pace. You don't waste time. You be business like. You give them some freedom, and you talk about results, and you find shortcuts, quick ways of doing things or quickly getting things done, right? And that, if you're able to manage, you will have a great time working with drivers. If you're working with expressives, you tell who. That means people part first. Who are we talking about here? Keep it fast paced with expressives, because they will lose interest and their attention spans are short. Be enthusiastic with them and allow for a lot of fun while you work, because they don't like boring working settings. uh, you need to support their creativity and their intuition, and you need to talk about peoples and goals together. You need to handle the details for them, because they don't like details. You need to value their feelings and opinions, and be flexible with expressives. And if you are able to manage that, you will have a great time working with expressives. If you're working with an amiable and that is not your own style, for example, if you're a driver who is working with an amiable, you need to tell them why first. So they need to know the reason why you're doing it. You need to ask them, don't tell them. Ask for their opinion, ask for their suggestions. You need to draw out their opinions, and you need to probe a little to draw out their opinions. You need to explore their personal lives, talk about it, define your expectations with them, strive for harmony, and avoid deciding everything for them. Let them make those decisions. And if you're working with analyticals, you need to talk about how part. Not what part, not who part, not why part, but talk about how is it that you're going to do. Method. You need to list pros and cons with them. Be accurate and logical. Don't make mistakes with analyticals. You need to provide evidence. You need to give them time. You need to provide deadlines to them, because they sometimes like to do what we call the gold polishing, because analyticals are never happy with their own work itself. So if you're analytical, you want to better it, and sometimes in the process of bettering it or improving it, you tend to miss out on timelines. So if you're working with the analytical person, give them clear deadlines and don't rush or surprise them, because they don't like it. If you're able to manage that, you'll have a great time working with them. Okay. Okay, so this is again going to be a repetition of that. So as we come to the end of the session, and I'll take questions shortly, think of Amitabh Bachchan, and I'm sure you've seen both these movies. Think of Amitabh Bachchan in Diwar and think of Amitabh Bachchan in Kabhi Khushi Kabhi Gum. How would you, which styles do you think both these characters had? What was the style for Amitabh Bachchan in Diwar, his character in Diwar?
in Diwar he was driver, and in Kabhi Khushi Kabhi Gum, this is my point of view. In Kabhi Khushi Kabhi Gum, he was not expressive, amiable also not, and diagonally was that opposite to driver was, sir, diagonally opposite to driver was
Amiable. That was amiable.
amiable. In this, he is amiable.
Okay. Okay. Anybody?
This is my point of view.
Sir, I trust in Kabhi Khushi Kabhi Gum also he was a driver. He was trying to take control of the entire clan.
He was able to.
Seemingly, he was driver in different approaches in both these movies.
Yes. So just that in Diwar he used brute force because he was an angry young man. But in Kabhi Khushi Kabhi Gum he was a big businessman who acted with a little bit of restraint, but he was very particular about what he wants for his family. Parampara, Pratishtha, Anushasan, right? So he even tried to decide who his son marries, and he chose not to talk to him for many years because his son didn't listen to him, right? So both of these were drivers, but they had very different outward approaches to being a driver, right? So just by a little observation and thinking about their actions, you will be able to decide, and just by looking at how they like to operate or their body language, you'll be able to decide which of these styles they fall in, and then how you need to work effectively with them if you are not their style. Because if you are their style, you will enjoy working with them, because birds of same feather flock together. But if you are opposite styles, then you need to learn to flex or be versatile with your approach. Okay. All right. So that brings us to Q&A. I know we don't have time, but maybe a couple of questions I would like to take, if with permission of Mr. Vyas. Okay. All right. Questions. Now, if I bring
session over, sir?
the first slide,
is the session over, sir?
Yeah, almost. So
Okay.
now if I bring you back to this first slide and I ask you to give one style description for each of the 4 leaders here, what would you say?
For Manmohan Singh, I will say he is analytical.
Okay.
For Putin, you can say a driver. Even Obama also, I'll say he's a driver.
But didn't you say in the beginning that he's a liberal guy?
I didn't say anything about him. I said that he is a good economist, means academics part I told. Liberal part I haven't gone through.
Obama.
Because Obama, I feel he's a driver.
Okay. So now I see that now we are talking about a very interesting concept here. So you are not just one style, and you tend to also display one of the other styles as your secondary style. So you may have a primary style, which is say maybe driver, and you may sometimes also act as expressive. So if you are the president of the US, you are the most powerful man in the world, right? Practically. So you have to make decisions. So you have to be a driver, whether or not it is your primary preferred style, right? So you have to act like.
So Gaurav, just I want to put across one point. I strongly feel that if you are a leader or if you are managing a team, by virtue of that responsibility which you get for managing a large team or a small team or a team of diversified people, so by virtue of that position itself, it says that you have to be a driver, because if you are not a driver, you cannot manage. But then, as you rightly said, there has to be a combination of the other 3 styles. Like, so for example, in case of Putin, if you see, he is a driver, as the same, my colleague, our colleague, Mr. Raj also shared that Obama is also a driver. So both of them are driver. But I believe that Putin is a driver with more of expression. So expressive driver. And whereas Obama was also a driver, but amiable. He used to listen to people, he used to put across his point, not that forcibly, but he never used to express himself in that way. So though he made his way very clear, these are the things needs to be done, or this is how it has to be done, but still giving scope to others. Whereas if you see from Putin's angle, he's more of expressive. That shows that the power he is having. So I believe most of the leaders will have a combination of any two of the styles.
And we learn to acquire these. So for
Absolutely.
example, to start off, maybe when Barack Obama was a young student politician, he would have been mostly amiable and he was loved by the masses because of the way he spoke, right? Because everybody seemed to like him. But when you take the office of the POTUS, President of the United States, you have to act in a certain way. You have to make
Correct.
decisions. You have to do airstrikes, and you have to take out terrorist organizations. So you have to make those decisions,
Absolutely.
right? So based on the work that you do and the experiences that you get due to your professional experience, you tend to absorb or acquire other styles which may not be your preferred styles. So what I mean to say is a particular style will work better in a particular setting, right? So if somebody who's overly analytical will not be able to make decisions fast, right? Or somebody who is not amiable will not have the support of his cabinet. Somebody who is not a driver will not be able to actually carry out major decisions. Somebody who is not expressive will not be heard in the right sense by the public or the citizens of the country. So every leader has to play different roles and adapt different styles in different settings, and that's the message that I want to give at the end of it. Right. So looks like there are no more questions, Sanjeev ji. So I will just stop here. I know I overshot by 15 minutes, but thank you for the opportunity. Over to you.
It
Thank
was
you.
really a very great session, sir. The way you have, because I feel this is my, I will say my point of view. Today's topic is, I think, if anybody who is employee, is a very important topic because how you are perceived by the other, means your bosses or the peers. This is very important part where we should analyze ourselves by whatever the points and views, whatever you have given, and this will be really helpful for my future part of my life. Really very important part. Sir, I would like to request you one thing, sir. Can you share these slides with us? If
Sure, sure.
sir,
I
sir,
can.
sir.
I'll.
And sir, if you please tell me the book name also that you referred to.
Yeah, just one second. I've just sent the presentation to everybody. You may want to download it, keep it with you, use it, and sorry, what was the other question?
Sir, I won't be able to download that. That has to be given in the Jaipur box.
On
Okay.
WhatsApp maybe, or maybe reach out to Mukesh. He can send it to you.
Yes. Sir. I'll ask. Sir, that book you referred to, sir.
Yeah, it is called Personal Styles and Effective Performance.
Personal
Styles and Effective
effective
Performance.
effective performance. Okay, sir. Fine, sir. This was really wonderful session. This will be really very helpful for me, and it is really practically, if we try to implement or if we try to practice, because we cannot change ourselves in a day, and it will need lot of means practices, rather I will say, in this place to improvise ourselves. So thank you very much.
So, and when I want, thank you for saying that. So when I asked you to write down the name of the person who fits that description of each of those 4 styles in your circle, try this out with them and think
Yes,
about how you should work. For example, if it is your boss is a driver and you're an amiable, or somebody, maybe your professor in college is a driver and you're an amiable or you're an expressive. How do you work effectively with them? How do you build that working relationship? So for example, I am what do you think my style is? Because you've been hearing me for 1.5 hours. What do you think my style is? What is my preferred style?
You're asking me, sir.
Anybody, and of course you as well.
Okay.
You are
So,
analytically amiable. I
yes,
will put it in that way.
Yes,
You
sir.
are analytically amiable.
Yes, sir. 100% true. And sir, to some extent, I felt you are very much expressive also.
Yeah, that's a very interesting point that you bring. And my preferred style is amiable. I am a very strong analytical also, but due to my line of work, where I work as a learning
You have to be
manager, I
expressive.
also have to be expressive.
Absolutely.
Because if I am not able to express what I feel, then I won't
Yes, sir.
reach my audience. So due to my job or the
Yes,
line
sir.
of work that I chose, I am an expressive. So I'm an acquired expressive and
Yes, sir.
indeed amiable.
Sir,
And
your
analytical is
yes,
one of my strong suits.
yes, sir, your speech delivery is really awesome, sir. You are wonderful. You are fantastic. Means,
Very kind.
everything is very loud and clear. Everything, whatever you have described or whatever you have made us understand, is really, really very, very careful. Means presentation. Your presentation was really, really very careful and very illustrative too. And I will go through this and I'll try to be in touch with you. If you please share your number, sir.
Yes, yes, certainly. I've just
So
my number.
thank you so much, Gaurav. That brings us to the end of this wonderful learning and knowledge sharing platform. But before I officially take or seek permission from the esteemed gatherings, I would like to request our chairman, Mr. Mukesh, to please say a few words and then we can close down. Mr. Mukesh, over to you.
Thanks a lot, Sanjeev ji. And I think it was a pleasure to attend this session, Gaurav. So Gaurav has been a colleague as well while working for ISTD, and also a student while he was a diploma student. So there have been a lot of hats that Gaurav has been wearing. And so whenever there is a session, there are 2-3 things. One is the takeaway. So takeaways were too many, Gaurav. So very well done. And I think this has been a great start to this after the festive season. So we, I think, are on a great path, not taking much time. So I think you have given food of thought for all of us. So you got my style, we got your style. I think now that will help all of us to work more effectively. So thanks a lot to everyone for joining us. Keep joining us, and we will be bringing much more sessions to you all. We together will bring so many sessions for you.